Padilla Family Homestead. This is, I don't remember what episode of Tea Time with Jen. I think it's like episode 8 or 9. We have a guest with us today. My cousin Amy is joining us. She is in Texas, and we have a lot of fun things to talk about today. So grab your tea, and Amy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Amy. I am Jennifer's older cousin
By
um,
3 months.
by 3 months, but I'm still older. And because I'm now a Texas girl, I'm drinking myself some sweet tea.
Oh, you have some sweet tea. That's a good tea.
Yes.
Do you, is the Texas sweet tea, is it sweetened with sugar or with honey? I've seen 2 different ways with that.
Normally with sugar.
With sugar? Okay,
Yeah.
sounds fine. I like that.
Yes.
Um, how's your guys' weather?
Beautiful today.
Oh,
Better
that's
than
good.
yours.
Better than ours. So bear with us if we get some spotty reception. We were contemplating moving this live because here in California, we are getting a whole lot of rain. I think more rain than we've had, more rain in this couple of weeks than we have had in like 3 years. So
Wow.
something crazy like that. But we are talking today about intentionally choosing to remove some toxins from your life, how to kind of do that, why you started out on this journey, and kind of some ideas maybe for some other people to try starting out. So when you hear intentionally living, what areas do you feel like that you do that the best in?
Hmm.
I know we didn't
Um,
prepare for this at all.
no. Um, Probably medicine.
Medicine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yes.
Why don't you share with however you want to your story on how you started your journey of removing certain toxins and how that kind of snowballed, but what propelled you into that?
Early January of 2017, I got diagnosed with cancer and also had a newborn baby at that time. He was having a lot of issues with his skin. And then when I started chemotherapy, there was just so much going into my body that every little thing I took, I had to tell them what it was. And everything seemed to have a side effect. And then I would be put on more medicine and it just gets really wearing. And so even with the baby, then people were suggesting putting him on steroids for the eczema and just different medications, and I just couldn't do it. So it's like I couldn't take any more. I didn't want to do anything to the baby. So I started looking into natural things and through a friend got introduced to essential oils,
Hmm.
which completely cleared his eczema. Um, and so I was in shock. And then I started second guessing what was going into my body and the
Right,
chemicals. And it's like, maybe I should start making some big changes.
right.
And they carried me through my treatments, and we started just changing one little thing at a time with our family and how we would, I don't know about treat is the right word, but how we would choose to deal with
Hmm.
whatever it was, a rash or a fever or
What's
an
your
earache or
initial
whatever.
go-to? Yeah.
Yes. And it just made all of us more comfortable without putting chemicals in our body, and there wasn't side effects. And yes, that's how it started.
It's a
And
crazy
it just goes
journey. I
on.
I think that you actually, because you were in Washington at the time and I was still here in California, and I
Hmm.
think I got introduced to oils by somebody completely different, and that was for my uh heartburn. I was on like 10 Tums a day and 2 Prozac a day, and I could not get my heartburn under control. And there was an oil that somebody suggested, and I decided to try. I'm like, what do I have to lose? It's like none of this other stuff's working. And that helped me a ton. And so I started slowly using oils, I think either shortly before you started or right after, like right around the same time. And it's interesting the two different journeys,
Mhm.
and how that snowballs into more than just oils.
Right.
And when you're looking at ingredients and looking at different things, yours hit, like you nosedived in because of all your health stuff, which I think needed to be done. Now you're my go-to person that I go to talk to about things. Um, so you started with stuff for his skin, the baby
Yes.
skin, bear skin. We call him Bear.
Yeah.
Um, for bear skin. And then how did the rest of the family take to? Did you just start switching out body wash, shampoos? Like, do you know what ingredients were causing a lot of issues over the years? Have you figured out some of that stuff, or it just the oils work better?
Oils definitely work better, but some of the issues are just additives that aren't needed and actually aren't good for you. Um, the family, they were a little bit skeptical at first, especially my sweet husband,
Hmm.
until he had an earache. And I was like, let me try something. And then he started to be a little bit of a believer. Then he ended up smashing his thumb and breaking it. And because of where we were in moving and all of that, he wasn't able to go to the doctor. And so I made some oils on that, and he was amazed at how fast his thumb not only started to feel better, but started to heal.
Hmm.
And it's not just I do love essential oils, but I just love living clean now. After having all of that junk pumped
Right.
into my body, it wasn't just we don't just do essential oils. I really
Right.
like to grow my own stuff. In Washington, like a big thing for his thumb or bone healing is comfrey.
Hmm.
And so just a lot of things you can grow and do naturally. That is definitely our go-to as a family now. And my
Right.
husband was more on board with that, is like eating healthy and growing what we eat. We just love that. So
Well, and when things work,
yes.
it's I feel like when something works, it takes away the skepticism. And then
Mhm.
it's like, well, if that thing worked, then I'm more willing to try this thing. And that happens in our household.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, the garlic infused in honey was one that was like, I don't know if I want to try this. Now it's like a go-to for us. So I know that at first it wasn't like your initial grab. Like it's hard to change that habit of
Mhm.
going for something that's full of chemicals. And
Mhm.
um, I mean, you guys have had a lot of stuff just this last year. And I know we've talked a little bit about the fact that it was interesting what some of the go-to grabs were. And I mean,
Mhm.
you guys have had some big things probably the last year and a half. I'm trying to think of when your oldest son broke his arm.
Mhm.
Um, how long ago was that?
That was just over 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years?
Yeah,
Jeez, this year's
I
gone
know.
fast. All right. So, but you guys did some interesting things to try to help heal that. And
Mhm.
then, um, even when your husband was having some health issues, his first thing was to go for the oils. Like
Mhm.
he had this stuff on him, and it was,
Right,
he didn't even realize necessarily he was doing it, but like he had all the stuff in his car.
right, right.
So, what are some of the things that, some other things for like diet wise that you've learned and some of your resources that you can think of that might help people to jump into um, kind of where to go?
I think that would probably line up with kind of what we talked about last week or so.
Mhm.
Just people's body being low on certain vitamins or just things that we need to function, magnesium or vitamin D or whatever it is. So it's really easy once you find that out to be put on a supplement.
Right.
And I think that's a huge thing for us is supplements only go so far and that your body only processes them so much and in a certain way than if it's the real deal. And so,
Right.
of course, the sun, great vitamin D, but you can only get so much of that. And so just doing things differently. So when James broke his arm and then even now healing with his knee injury, um, we just try to have him have calcium in the rare form, natural pure form. So he
Raw
does
as
have
possible. Yeah.
raw milk. And it was amazing. So we started that with his arm when he broke his arm in 4 different spots. And he went for his first follow-up and there wasn't any healing, and went to a second one, wasn't any healing. And so I started to get frustrated. At that point, he was on supplements, but he just wasn't healing well. So then they were talking about another surgery and resetting everything. And somebody suggested, hey, why don't you just have him try having raw milk? So I did it. I started driving an hour one way to get milk for him. And by his next appointment, they're like, we don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it because he's healing great. And so we were doing that and we were doing comfrey and just,
And you added in like black beans? Was that something that you added in at the time for health purposes? Or am I
yes,
remembering something wrong
no,
here?
no, yes. We did. And so we definitely know it was the milk. We did make some other changes just to his diet, a lot more
Mhm.
greens, black beans. So I think it was just a combination, but it's all natural stuff. Your body knows
Right.
how to process it, to accept what it needs, to reject what is overflow,
Right.
where when you take supplements, it can't really regulate that way. And it also, you get dependent on supplements, and then your body doesn't produce them on its own or hold on to them or deplete them how it should. So
Right.
that's just been something I think is really neat to see your kids learning, your husband learning, anybody learning is just how to.
It's an interesting, because we're taught to take the supplements. Like, it's take this pill. It's the easiest course, right? Because
Mhm,
most of the time people don't. I think that really kicks off one, certain companies want the money. Um, but also a lot of people don't have the dedication and the drive to go, this is what I need to do, and I need to make this change. And it may not be an easy change. Most of the changes that we've made have not been easy changes. It was against what is convenient all around.
mhm,
And with my husband has had low B12 and um, vitamin D. And so the B12 though was one he didn't respond to he didn't feel good when he took the supplements. Like he didn't react well to that. And so we started learning eggs have a lot of B12 in them. We had a nutritional yeast that had the B12 in it. And so we made sure like he will crave that if he's low now. And it's
mhm,
not a huge red flag anymore on his blood work because it's absorbing.
mhm.
He's getting it naturally. Whereas when he was doing the supplements, they weren't kicking in the same way, and it made him feel worse. And
Right.
that was a big eye opener for me. And then I'm like, okay, but it is takes time. Like when you're growing greens, like okay, so if I need vitamin K and vitamin C, and
Mhm,
what does kale have? What does mustard have? What is like trying to balance that? But I think our bodies crave it
mhm.
once you have the right thing. And I think that's something that people forget sometimes. Like when you're pregnant, the people will crave dirt or they'll crave like weird combinations of food. And that's usually because it has something that your body's missing.
Mm-hmm.
that it needs, that there's an actual vitamin or nutrient in that where you actually need to have that in there. So it doesn't matter if you, I mean, it's, don't want to eat the dirt, but you want to figure out what it is that you're missing,
Right.
and cutting some of the sugar. I think that's a big
Yes, you
one.
could crave sugar if your body processes and lives off of it, which
Hmm.
that's what I struggle with.
That's my struggle.
Yeah.
I'm a
Mm.
caramel girl for sure. So, okay. So you started with some skin stuff. You really worked into the medicine because of health.
Mhm.
Um, there, so essential oils, I feel like, are an easy avenue to jump into, just
Yes.
because you don't have to grow it. I suggest
Mhm.
everybody grow food, whatever you
Mhm.
can. I think you should
Mhm.
be homegrown, has better vitamins. You're picking it ripe when it's at its prime. You're not
Mhm.
getting a tomato that was green that's been sitting there forever ripening. Um, you know what's on it, the pesticide loads, all of that kind of stuff. But for me, essential oils have been huge for replacing, helping make soaps and making
Mhm.
lip balms that I actually want to use. They
Right.
make them appealing, but then you're kind of attracted. You're attracted to the smell based on kind of sometimes your emotional needs, but also your
Mhm.
physical needs.
Right.
Uh, and I think that's interesting.
Yes.
But not all oils are created the same. And I know we use the same company, and I know there's many, many, many companies out there, and there's going to be many views on this. So if you're watching, just know that we suggest that you do your own research anytime it comes to medical stuff for your body. You need to be doing your research, whether it's adding in certain foods, if you have health situations, sometimes you need to be on the medication. And sometimes that is going to be the case. So you have to do your research. We're just intentionally choosing to do
Yes.
um, where we can, replacing and supplementing as naturally as possible.
Right.
Um, I mean, my husband takes insulin; he has to, and
Right.
so
Right.
we're trying. He takes less than he used to because we've changed the diet, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
sometimes we need that. Um, but there's different types of essential oils. I believe like there's a lot that are just for fragrance, um, that are marketed as an essential oil, but they're not going to be as good therapeutically
Mhm.
uh, for the same stuff. I know you have deep dived a little bit more into that. Do you want to share a little bit on that? Kind of why you chose the company that you chose? I don't care if you give a name, it doesn't bother me. And then people can do their own research. It's not an advertisement for the company, it's just the avenue that you chose to go.
Um, I I chose them because, well, first they worked, and so I didn't know what company it was when I first got the oils.
Mhm.
So it could have been Walmart, and if they worked, then they worked, and I saw them
Right.
work on my baby. So that was probably the number one reason why I went to this company. Since then, I have fallen in love with how they choose to do business as far as where if they are making a lemon essential oil, they will find um, a place to harvest and produce everything where people need jobs. And so they
Right.
will rent the land or buy the land and produce an income for whoever. Um,
I think that's
I really
awesome.
love that. They what?
I think that's awesome because it's really
Yes,
putting back into communities. It's trying to make it better than just sucking everything from it.
absolutely. And it's not like I just think of homes. If they I don't know, if a home builder wants your home, they pretty much drive you out, and then it's like, "Oh, now I'm homeless." Where this company, it's like, okay, well, we'll find a place where this will grow, where lemons or wherever will grow, and we will help this community. We will supply them with jobs, and we won't take anything from them. We'll just invest in them and give them a stability for the future. I really, really like that. They have some oils where they make no profit from. It directly goes back to an organization, helping with trafficking or whatever it may be. I just really like that.
Right.
So those are two huge reasons for me. It doesn't seem like a greedy company. It is uh
It is a network marketing company,
it
but
is. But
it
that is not that would be my turnoff, because I
right,
don't want people to feel like I'm trying to sell them something. I want them to love them because I know that they work firsthand,
right.
secondhand. I know that they work, and
I mean,
everything that I have seen from this
I
company
worked
is great.
retail forever, and there's a pyramid no matter where you go.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that I know who have done MLMs or network marketing companies, and that
Mhm.
doesn't, I don't have a problem with that. It's however people decide to do their thing, they do their thing. If the product's good,
Right.
that's what counts to me. I went
Right.
to them for kind of a different, like I knew um, I was skeptical about using the oils at
Mhm.
first, and I was highly concerned because mine was for the heartburn. And
Mhm.
there was like, oh, you can ingest this one. And I'm like, hold on a minute here. Like, I need to do some more research and try to figure all of that out. And again, I highly suggest you do your own research. Don't go off of what anybody on the internet says to do.
Mhm.
um, and know where you're buying it from. But there was a big difference when I tried other oils and this company's, and
Mhm.
it actually made a huge difference for me. So I chose them because I felt good about the quality
Yes.
of the oils. Why I decided to use it, and then it worked, and then I was hooked. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, it just changes things.
Mhm.
But that was
Yes.
my
Yes.
gateway, same as yours, into doing the more natural. Now you've
Mhm.
replaced some medicine. I've talked
Mhm.
about replacing some skincare,
Mhm.
um, cleaning supplies. Naturally, what are some of your favorite things to replace for cleaning supplies?
Ooh, I've replaced, I mean, the On Guard, is which now doTERRA is the oil
Oh
company
yeah,
who's
we didn't even
invented
say the name. It's
On
like
Guard.
whatever.
Um, I mean, you could use it on glass, you could spray it on your vegetables, you can
Mhm.
sanitize your counters with it. It is, definitely an
I was
all-purpose
actually
cleaner.
I was gonna call you. How do you do the vegetable wash?
What do you mean? You can just put
I
a
haven't
little
used
bit
it for it.
in. So you could put it in a bowl and submerge
Mhm.
your fruit or whatever if you want, or I just spray it on and wash it that way.
Okay.
And spray it on and then rinse it off, and you can literally see the grime. If you put it in a bowl and you do it that way, it's pretty nasty. You can see all the gunk that comes off, and
I
it.
I usually do my greens in a bowl with water, and I was thinking the other day because sometimes I'll add like a touch of vinegar just in case
Mhm.
there's any caterpillars because real food comes dirty.
Mhm.
And I was thinking I need to do the On Guard, and I was trying
Yeah.
to remember like the ratio and all that stuff. So
Yes. Yeah. So that's our go-to.
my husband's gonna answer the door. We never have a doorbell ring, and all of a sudden we have a doorbell ring. Um, so that's awesome. So switching vegetables, switching household um
Mm.
cleaners as much as possible. I didn't realize how many toxins were in the household cleaners.
Yes.
Um, I remember hearing about some issues with a bunch of different types of shampoos and the stuff
Mhm.
that was in them. Um, and really going, okay, what am I like? How do you pick? And I think that for me, my advice for picking, I don't know, you can let me know what you think, just starting out with changing your habits of um, trying to live more pure with pure ingredients. Because
Mhm.
living pure can be taken multiple ways. We're talking about toxins in the household.
Mhm.
Um, I think it really depends on what's your biggest area for your family um, that you are number one struggling with, or that you use the absolute most of. Uh,
Mhm.
and if you are, I mean, our skin is literally absorbs the most out of anything.
Mhm.
And that is because of our health stuff. That's actually my last thing that I've been moving into. And now I'm like, I need to get I want to figure out a shampoo that works for me or rinses or whatever. And things that I'm not putting more toxins into my skin because my
Mhm.
skin has changed. As I've changed my diet, my oil levels have changed. Everything's kind of changed. And so that was our last thing because the diet was emergency. And so the oils were more emergency when it came to the esophagus and everything
Mhm.
else.
Mhm.
Um, but for you, it was skin was top priority. Some
Mhm.
people it may be cleaning stuff because they're having a hard time using certain household cleaners all the times. The fumes give them headaches. Replacing
Right.
candles. Um, I can burn candles in the house, but I know I respond differently now if it's for a long period.
Right.
Whereas using a diffuser with oils to clean the air and to boost the moods versus candles, which are actually, depending on what's in the candle, I have found out that paraffin's actually not that great to breathe. And so
Mhm. Right.
um trying to like switch that out, just a household scent is probably one of the easiest things to switch out.
Right.
Is diffusing because then you get used to what smells you actually like. Um, what's some other areas that we've gone more natural with that?
Hmm.
Again, gardening, pest management,
Mhm.
peppermint cures like not cures, but like mice, spiders,
Yes.
um, squirrels. Actually, it's labeled to help keep squirrels out of the garden. Now it's popping the peppermint beadlets when I couldn't find my
Yeah.
peppermint oil on the
Ants. It
planters.
does. Ants really don't like peppermint.
It's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
So there's all different avenues. Is there anything else that you can think of?
I'm sure that there's tons. For me, it was more of, I guess what I was feeling guilty about. It's like,
Mhm.
oh yes, I think that they need me and my kids need this. If we have dry skin, oh yes, I know I need lotion, but what else am I putting on within that
Right.
lotion and things like that? Or yes, I know I have a headache, but if I take Motrin, like how can I do it um healthier and
The least amount of side effects.
yeah, and just natural. And I mean, I don't think God made mistakes, and I think that our bodies want to respond to healing and not just have it masked over, but to actually have it dealt with.
Right, and I think that a lot of the medication is based off of um, plant. They're they're mimicking what plants do, and
Yes,
they're mimicking what nature does, and
right,
they synthesize it and turn it into a medication. And
hmm
again, sometimes medication is needed. Sometimes some of
right.
these avenues are not going to be something that you feel like you need to switch over. Um, and that's something that you have to assess for your household. But
Mhm,
I do think that looking at that, and I think the guilty thing is a big one. Like that's why we started with I'm like the medicine I was taking for the heartburn was not doing me any favors.
mhm,
And I was able to get off of that because of the oil. Um,
mhm,
and it does start to change perspective when things start to work.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say that I think if you are looking at trying to remove toxins from your life, to one, don't do everything at once. You'll
Mhm.
go nuts.
Right.
pick pick one thing
Mhm.
and do that. Let it become a habit.
Mhm.
And as it becomes a habit and as that thing, see if it works, because sometimes it's trial and error. I've been using oils for years, and I mean, my husband and I have been together 6 years, and um, he has had dandruff the entire time. And it was this Christmas, partnering with you, trying to like really go, okay, this is like driving him nuts, and we've got to figure something out. And we came up. She had this concoction of oils, and I had a base oil that I really wanted to use with it, and we paired that together. And he has not had dandruff in like since Christmas.
Mhm.
And that's like amazing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you pick what that thing is, do the research on it, do some trial and error. If it doesn't work, always test. If you decide to jump into oils, do a lot of research. Some will are
Mhm.
very hot oils that are more sensitive to skin, that need to have carrier oils, and you need to figure that out a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, And then if you're switching in, I highly suggest looking at switching out candles in the house.
Yeah.
I think beeswax candles are supposed to be more like pure for burning, and is it soy candles that are supposed to be like better for? I've heard back and forth on
It's
that
just so hard. Yeah, you can hear
because
back
then
and
you still
forth.
have
I think,
smoke.
yes. The reason why I like the guilt or conviction or whatever you want to call it is because for me, like the smell, I have a lot of animals. I have cats and dogs, and I want my house to smell good.
Hmm.
And so it would be really easy for me to light a candle
Hmm.
or have wall plugs or whatever to have things smell good all the time. But that's all that they're doing is smelling, and they're doing damage.
Right.
They're not good for you, and for a lot of different reasons. But if you use a diffuser and it is a smell that you like, you are purifying the air, doing
Hmm.
something to your mood, and adding nothing unhealthy.
Right.
So that I like because it would be really easy for me to go back to candles or wall plugs
Hmm.
or whatever for convenience. And but if I have that nagging conviction or
Hmm.
guilt, um, I stick with I stick with
Yeah.
diffusing no matter what because it's like, "Oh, that smells so good, I'll just buy it." But then it's like, "No, I have some things that smell amazing that
Right.
no candle can match, and I'm not gonna feel guilty when I light it."
It's true, and it sticks around, and it's good for you. Now, I've
Right.
received candles. It's like I got a candle for Christmas this year that I love, and it smells good, and I'll burn that. I have candles in my emergency supply box in case the power
Mhm.
goes out, things like that. But it's not my go-to because,
Right,
again, I can feel the health benefit from
right,
switching
right.
the two over. And it's also nice, like you already have that habit in place. And I have an aunt who has COPD and is on oxygen.
Mhm,
Well, we have an aunt
mhm,
that's on COPD and on oxygen, and
mhm.
you can't have candles lit around,
Right,
having oxygen around and stuff like that. And
right.
so finding some things that are good. And I mean, I can be having peppermint going in the air. You have some lavender and lemon and peppermint together. You're busting some
Mhm.
allergies. It smells
Yeah.
delicious. And oh, I'm keeping the spiders away.
Mhm.
Like it's a triple whammy right there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So that for me has been a big thing, and it becomes habit,
Mhm,
without you realizing it, that
mhm.
all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to this before I even think about going to to conventional. things,
Right.
things that have chemicals in them.
Right.
So yeah, so I have been partnering with my cousin Amy for a little bit, trying to get some new blends made for me, um, and doing the oils for my husband. And because she has deep dived into the research of it, I kind of stopped deep diving into the research and I focused on all the food things. And I call her for that, and she calls me for
Mhm.
gardening, and we kind of even that out.
Yeah.
um, but if you have questions regarding some simple ways, if there's recipes you're looking for, like I know I have foaming hand soap video. I have a lip balm video and a lip scrub video, but I'll be making some more videos coming up with some content that I do use oils in, because I am trying to switch now over more of my skincare. And I've stopped now. I'm not buying the makeup I was buying. I've kind of switched everything over, and so I'm trying to come up with now the more natural side and deep dive into that. And you've kind of been on that journey already. So if people have questions for you, I know they can leave comments here on the video,
Mhm.
and I can let you know that they're there. And so if you want to respond, but do you have any place that people like? Do you help people find stuff or help create special blends or anything like that?
I do. I love making special blends, because usually there are I mean, a handful of oils that will have the same effect or the same outcome, but
Mhm,
it depends on what will work for you and smells that you can't tolerate or smells that you prefer.
mhm.
So yes, I love to make things. I also can order directly
You'd love to name them too?
from doTERRA.
You love to
Yes, from
name
doTERRA.
all the little blends and all the things?
Oh, yes. If I make a special blend just for you, I will name it, and I will take great pride in whatever I name it.
They're cute.
So Jen, what are some of the names I've given your oils that I've made for you?
Um, so my favorite one was my twofer oil. Uh, because I had my teeth, because of all of a bunch of health issues that I've had and some hereditary genes that I have, I ended up having to have all my teeth out. So these are dentures, and I went through years of struggle with my teeth and infections in my gums, and um, I was dying. And she sent me one that had a blend that was not for. It didn't have oregano in it, and then there was one that was like, this is this is for if you are swelling, put this on it. And I'll tell you what, that stuff freaking works.
Mhm,
Um, but that one was like the one I can remember. I always think of the two for blend or whatever.
mhm. Yes, I love to name
So,
them, but they can most people have Facebook, so I have a group, Pure Living with Amy.
mhm.
They can join that, or I'm
Do you
not
mind if
sure.
do you want to send me that link and I'll add it to the
Sure,
description of this? Okay.
sure. And if that doesn't work for you, if you want to comment, I can find a way to get a hold of you another way by phone or text or whatever works.
Right. And our goal, the reason why I had Amy on here wasn't necessary to promote oils. It was to promote thinking outside the box and looking at the natural way, and why kind of her story was big for me, because um, when she's my cousin and she kicked cancer's butt, but it was the change in how well she felt, the change in how her bodies were responding within her family to um, the lifestyle choices that she decided to make intentionally with replacing all the things we've talked about. Those are big, and they've worked. And
Mhm,
so that for me has been a huge avenue of choosing to live intentionally, and using this is just one avenue. But again, do your research and figure out what it is, because anything anything medication is based derived from plants,
yep.
and So if you are taking a bunch of herbal supplements or teas and you're on medication, you need to be checking how those interact with each other. I mean, you couldn't do anything with grapefruit for a period of time, or
Right,
still
right.
can't.
Because even chemotherapy is plant-based.
Mhm.
So grapefruit, there's just I had to stay away from grapefruit for 4 years or whatever. But I mean, honestly, I know that God carried me through and
Mhm.
chose to heal me. I think that I made some decisions health-wise that helped in my recovery.
That he guided
Definitely.
you to. Yeah.
Yes, and, I was for one of the trial medications that I was on for a year, I was the only one that completed the study, and that is huge. So I think a lot of it, I mean, and it's not because of the other people passed away, some of them did, but I was the only one that completed it because of how I felt, and I didn't get so sick that I couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
Um, and I did a lot of natural stuff. I mean, honestly, for the years that I was on chemo, I didn't go anywhere without peppermint, anywhere. And now peppermint is probably one of the dearest smells I can ever smell because I know what it did for me and what it
Mhm.
saved me from anytime I felt nauseous or had a headache or whatever. It's like peppermint was definitely a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and it still
when
is.
when my stepmom was in the hospital, um, they had started implementing oils in the hospital, which I thought was awesome.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, and uh, some hospitals use one brand and some hospitals use another brand.
Mhm.
It's that's the point is that the hospitals are recognizing that they're working.
Right.
And they had certain ones that they'll bring you like peppermint or
Mhm.
lemon, things
Mhm.
like that for you to smell, lavender, to help
Mhm.
with your nausea or whatever. And I thought that was really neat because I hadn't seen that in the past when I had gone to a hospital. And
Mhm.
so the fact that they've started implementing those things, I think is really neat.
Yes, it is.
So, do you have anything you want to wrap out the little chat with?
Hmm. I don't think so.
Okay.
Thanks for having me
Well,
on here.
thank you for joining me because this is the topic we talk about a lot. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And I will link everything in the description. I'll get that from her right after we get off of here and link that in the description and just let her know you came over from the Padilla Family Homestead. And she will get you hooked up with helping you out with whatever she can. And then we just hope that you have a blessed rest of your day. And if you're in California, that you're staying dry
Yeah.
and safe. And wherever you are, stay safe. The weather's been crazy the last year. So
Mhm.
we will see you on the next one. I think I'll be back next Friday, is the plan, with another chat. So we will see you then. Bye.
Bye.